Nintendo is definitely king of the castle when it comes to exclusives, and Xbox could learn a lot from their big Switch brother. But are there things that the big N could take from Microsoft as well? What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from Switch Force. Gabe is here, and we're talking about what Nintendo could learn from Microsoft, specifically in relation to how they handle their past games catalog. They've done some interesting things as of late with the release of Xbox One X. We've seen them boost some Xbox originals up in visual fidelity. We know that they have the Xbox Game Pass, where they charge a monthly fee for access to over 100 Xbox One, Xbox 360 games, and they also sell quite a few of their past library on their current console. Things that I think, frankly, we wish Nintendo would do more of.
Absolutely, and the reason I had this idea for this video was because the recent details that were given about how Virtual Console might be different on Switch, and even Reggie coming out and saying that a lot of it is going to be tied to a subscription-based service for the whole Nintendo Online thing, and we know that you're going to get NES games, but could that go a little bit further and we get other things? Because that sort of sounds like Game Pass, right? And again, since you already mentioned it, but it's just a little bit more detail, $10 a month is what Game Pass costs. Some say that the price is a little too high. Some say it's just right, but you get over 100 both Xbox One and 360 games with that. That's pretty fair. How would you feel if Nintendo came out and for, let's say, $8 a month gave you access to all SNES games and NES games? Like, would that be something that you would be willing to do instead of buying, like, you know, Link to the Past and Super Mario World, things like that?
I think it's an interesting discussion because I feel like a lot of it would depend on what was offered, right? Xbox Game Pass is focusing on far more recent titles than a Nintendo Virtual Console service, and it would depend on how far Nintendo wanted to push that. Would they include just NES and SNES? Would they up the ante with N64 and GameCube? I don't expect them to include Wii and Wii U, although we will touch on that later, but I think $10 is totally reasonable if you were going to have a wide swath of games. Now, I think given the fact that they are Xbox One and Xbox 360 games, maybe 100 is okay, but I feel like in general, you would need to have a bigger offering, especially with Nintendo, because for how many titles they have, 100 not going to get you very far, especially spread across so many classic platforms. But, you know, given their past pricing model, how they've charged for NES, SNES, how we would expect them to charge again, I think $10 a month and having full access to the entire catalog would be great. Now, they are going to start charging for their online service, so perhaps it's a, you know, like a plus, like the PlayStation Plus, like an extra amount gets you access to that catalog, something of that sort. But personally, I would rather pay a monthly price to have access to everything, just based on how I've used Virtual Console in the past, rather than have to buy it. Okay, I'm really, like, for example, I really want to play Donkey Kong Country 3. But I'm not going to play Donkey Kong Country 3 every day or every month. So if I could just have a game subscription where, like, okay, I want to check that out today. Tomorrow, you know what? I'm remembering, I don't know, Mario 64. And now I'm remembering Mario Party 4. Like, that would work very well for me.
Yes, I agree. I would not mind. I would maybe pay upwards of like $12, $15 for, like, to access for everything. And that does include like GameCube in my mind, and maybe even Wii, but like access to everything, like the Netflix version of gaming, because that's what Xbox Game Pass was touted as when it was like first announced. Xbox, they didn't market it that way, but people said, hey, like, this is like super cool. You have so many selection. It's just $10 a month. And of course, you do get a free trial as well. So I personally wouldn't mind if that's what Virtual Console turned into, because they're selling these things for a little bit of a high premium at this point. Even the arcade classic Super Mario Brothers, that was $8. All the Neo Geo games are $8. Those things are not cheap, and yeah, they're cheaper on Virtual Console on Wii U and Wii and stuff. But it seems like $8 seems to be the baseline, at least now going forward. That's all the proof we have. But I definitely want to know from people: would you rather pay for these games individually? And yeah, it's going to be a little bit more money, or would you rather just like pay like a fee and have access to everything? Because I can't see that where Nintendo's headed in that direction.
Right, and especially since the rumors, and just in general, what we've heard and how they've talked, Virtual Console is going to exist in a different structure, so it seems like subscription or some sort of catalog is probably the way they're going. I can't really think of a third alternative unless they give everything for free, which would be impossible. But on the same sort of note, Microsoft also sells quite a few Xbox 360 and Xbox original games, and the OG Xbox games are $10, and the 360 games are in the $15 to $20 range. How would you feel about Nintendo upping the ante on Switch with some of their Wii and Wii U titles in a similar price range?
I think that would be perfectly fine. Like, Galaxy for $10, I think that's perfect on Switch. Like, put it out there for $10, give people the opportunity to buy it, and this is where things make a little bit of sense to me, and this is why I say that they can learn from Xbox. Xbox doesn't have like original Xbox games on Game Pass, so maybe you make all your older stuff subscription based, but the quote unquote newer generations, you sell those at, a $10 and $15, $20 price point. So Galaxy 2 and Skyward Sword, I mean, there's a number of games, even though there's not many hits on Wii U, you can sell those for $20, I feel like. Let's think of a Wii U game that was really good. Give me one.
Pikmin 3, Wonderful 101.
Yes, those. Sell those for $20 on Switch, and I think you're in pretty good shape. I think people that missed out on the Wii U, which a lot of people did, would easily go back and play those.
Now, where I think this gets difficult is the fact that Nintendo does have such an extensive back catalog, right? Because there's nowhere lower to go from Microsoft after the original Xbox. If Nintendo were to charge that same price structure, they would then have to charge like $2 for an NES game, which they don't want to do. So I think where this gets dicey is how do you manage so much back catalog? Because if you're going to charge $10, like you mentioned, for a Wii game, you don't have much price room, movement room there for GameCube, SNES, and 64.
That's why I said everything GameCube and back in time, all of that, you tie that to a subscription.
Okay.
Yeah, GameCube and back, you don't sell those individually. You make those subscription based.
Gotcha.
Everything from Wii forward, you sell those individually.
That would be ideal. I think that would be ideal. I mean, to me, Nintendo deciding to sell Super Mario Galaxy for $10 is almost blasphemous. I feel like they would be offended. Like that game is worth so much more than that. So maybe they would do like 20 and 25 or something, knowing them. But I do think it would be really cool. And look, the Switch is doing gangbusters. Do they need to do this? Absolutely not. Nintendo is trending towards $1 billion of profit in this financial year, which is insane. But this would just give them even more of an advantage. Leverage your history. I mean, Nintendo has the benefit of the doubt from fans because of said nostalgia, so why not double down on that and really up the ante? It would allow them to say, hey, we've got the latest and greatest best games, we're really bringing in third-party support, and for all of you fans that want to experience the past, or those of you who weren't alive during that history, now you can. So I would love to see a Game Pass, a Virtual Console Pass, as well as the sales of some of their more recent titles. Now, motion control maybe throws a curveball into it. The fact that the Switch is hybrid, how do you
how does it throw a curveball into it?
Okay, so then the games can't be played handheld.
Yes, they can. Why not? The games, like, you have a full controller on your dock. I mean, on your Switch.
No, but if say it's a pointer-based game, you can't play that handheld. It would have to be in tabletop or docked.
Oh, you're talking about like Wii. Okay. Mm-hmm. I was thinking like the older one.
The older ones, absolutely. That works like a charm. But
yeah.
Motion control, like, I do wonder if they feel like, we've had so many different control schemes over the years. Like, how would this work? Even people have said with GameCube, the fact that the triggers operated differently, like, is that something Nintendo feels like, these aren't going to be true to their original nature?
You could play tabletop when you're on the go. And when you're docked, then you're fine because the Joy-Con works so similarly to the Wii controllers. But right. I think the thing that you missed when talking about like how cool this would be is, and I know you don't share the same line of thought that I do, but it's going to be very difficult for Nintendo to keep up the amount of games that they're putting out. Like, their output has been insane for this year. And I've been vocal about me thinking that there's not going to be as many games next year, and I do hope I'm wrong on that. But when the releases eventually slow down, because they will, make no mistake. Even if it's not next year, even if this 2018 is super packed, maybe at some point they release all their games and they got to work on new ones, and that's going to take time. So this is so perfect. Like, when you don't have like all these like new Nintendo games, play the old ones that are still amazing, really. So.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say and ask you, and maybe we can ask the audience as well, does a Nintendo Game Pass, does Nintendo aggressively selling their virtual console titles, or even including Wii or Wii U, does that in any way sabotage the extreme success they found with the indie space and the amazing amount of indie exclusives, indie early releases, indie partnerships that they have developed?
It could bite into that pie a little bit, but I feel like the reason people are getting these indies on Switch is because of the hybrid nature. They want to take them with them, especially those smaller games. Golf Story is a perfect game to play while waiting at the airport, things of that nature. So I feel like that magic is still there. It's still like the only hybrid console. It's still the only place for you to play like Golf Story or SteamWorld Dig 2 portably. So I feel like that alone is going to make it okay. So many of these games people have played. They're just there for the younger people and for the nostalgia factor. I don't think anybody that's like buying like let's just give an example, a Metroid, like Metroid Prime, the original Metroid Prime. Anybody that's buying that, I don't even know if they're gonna finish it. They probably already beat it and they just buying it to play it for a little bit. And sure, if you've never played it, you'll go through it. But these things aren't gonna like take away from indies like in a meaningful way. At least I don't think so. You guys can definitely let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, give us your thoughts. I would, if you had the choice between buying SteamWorld Dig 2 and Super Mario World, same price, how would that lay out? But I do think, even though right now Microsoft is probably in the back seat when it comes to console confidence and what their plans are, and Phil Spencer's recently said, "Oh, we are going to double down on games, yada yada." They've seen some success with the Xbox One X. I still think Nintendo could learn a little bit in terms of how they are handling their back catalog. So hopefully we'll see more developments on the virtual console plans in the near future. Definitely let us know your take in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest from the Switch, its lineup, and its eventual, hopefully, fingers crossed, toes crossed, virtual console. Until that time, everybody, for myself and Gabe, thanks so much. Switch Force, out.